Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update for everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. Today is November 30th. My name is Whack Attack, and let's get started with this thing that happened yesterday. So, yesterday I put a post in trading saying I'm very happy today, and I said I had a conversation with someone for a few hours that was so great. Felt like I've known them for years and years, and I said I can't wait to tell you about it very soon. So I was kind of like teasing stuff, and Phil Kerr said new interview, and I replied by saying heart, right? So I was kind of teasing stuff and trying to build up some hype, like whatever. It was just kind of jokes. And then Phiz comes out later and says, I regret today. I recorded a podcast with Whack Attack and failed to refer to LFO's outlet. I apologize for my failures. So Phiz kind of like lets the cat out of the bag that he talked to me today. So I processed the episode, I did everything, and then overnight I published it. So this morning I said, hey, here's a new Rocket Fuel Launchpad episode for you all. It's featuring Super Phiz, and then there's a link to my Twitter, and you can go here and have a look and retweet it, please, like so broader communities can watch it. And I think it was a really good conversation. It was a really fun conversation. It was different from other Launchpad episodes. I guess maybe those were a little bit more structured. This one was a little bit more of a conversation that Phiz and I had, which I really liked. And it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. So we talked a lot. So it was really cool. And I hope you all like that if you watch it. I think it was a great chat. I really liked it. So yeah. Next, we had this update from Ken, who's saying the Rocket Pool community call starts in 4 minutes. So yesterday afternoon, while I was recording the chat with Phiz, I wasn't able to actually listen in on the community call at the time, but I listened to it later. And as always, the community call is a great place for you to find out like what's happening with the community. And Mav was there, Joe was sick, so Ken hosted a call, and they talked a lot about Denver. They talked a lot about a bunch of other things as well. So it was a really good call. That's available on Ken's Twitter. If you follow the tweet right here, you can listen to it. And also Mav posted it on Facebook. He pasted it on YouTube, so you can go watch it there as well. So that was fantastic. It was very informative. They talked about the RETH premium and a whole bunch of other things, but we got a lot of details about EthDenver and what the team is planning for that, so that's really cool. Next we had this post from Patches. He says, okay, I did a thing, and he wrote a tweet thread. This was a really cool tweet thread. It got a lot of positive traction, lots of retweets. It even got mentioned in the Daily Grey this morning, which was fantastic. So the Patches says the Rocket Pool Rescue Node, a thread. So it says, after the merge, Poupas presently set up a spare beacon node to allow Rocket Pool node operators to have fallback while the client teams race to fix stability issues. The node is behind a Cloudflare proxy and NGINX instance. The former provides it with reasonable protection against DDoS, and the latter allows him to inspect inbound traffic and prevent MEV tips theft. Access is limited to smoothing pool members. Access to URLs is given out ad hoc. So then Patches goes on to explain what's going on with that. He says, since then we've been iterating the design and now developing a self-serve rescue node service. Any Rocket Pool node operator will be able to request a temporary credential and avail of fallback while doing pruning maintenance. How is MEV tip theft prevented? Well, Rocket Pool has a distinct advantage. Fee recipient, that's all going to the contract because it's only smoothing pool at the moment. And this says, won't this cause centralization? And Patches says there will be some centralization. It says node operators will still have primary use of their nodes to stay in profits. Credentials will further rate limited to prevent reliance. So people won't be able to use it in the long term. And then it says the safety net of the rescue node will provide should encourage more people to stake from home. Knowing one has at least last resort fallback goes a long way to assuage fears about downtime. And then the cost, this is the president of validator stands to lose about $7 a day for being offline. The infrastructure costs the rescue node around $14. So as long as at least 2 validators are using it, it breaks even, and has done so since merge. Is it trustless? No. To be very clear, use it at your own risk. You're trusting the maintainers not to attempt to steal your MEV tips while using it. However, your keys stay in your custody the entire time. The maintainers will be publicly identified. And can I use it with my solo validators? No, not yet. And they're applying for a grant from the Rocket Pool PDAO to cover the costs. As always, main consideration is to ensure that Ethereum stays decentralized first and lower the barrier to stake from home second. So it's a really wonderful service. Patches also said on Discord a few days ago that he got a grant, well, not a grant really, but a payment from Phiz that should cover a few months worth of running the service, which is absolutely fantastic. So I really, think that would be a great use for the community, and we've already gotten some really good feedback. And like I said, it was even featured on the Daily Grade today. So good job, Patches and Poupas, and anyone else working on that. And next we have this comment from Poupas, who clarified something that I talked about on Rocket Fuel yesterday. He says, just a note regarding the RocketArb container I'm working on. It doesn't intend to be a proper smart node addition add-on. That's tougher to do because it needs support from the smart node to work in a secure way. I think one guy and Joe are working on that. That said, this is an interim container, should help node operators run RocketArb with only 2 commands, and its only dependency is Docker. Hopefully it's useful and easy to use, while the proper RocketArb add-on is not available. Also, thank you to Fornax and Lilac for being awesome on support. So Poupas clarified what we were talking about yesterday on Rocket Fuel about how the RocketArb should work. So for me, I used it myself a couple of weeks ago, and Ramana helped me with using that. And there were a lot of commands, I had to install software and make sure that versions are up to date and all this kind of stuff. So I had to do a lot of checking before I did anything. So this version, making a container on for Docker, I think when being able to run it in just 2 commands is absolutely fantastic. And I think it's going to be a huge help for people who might otherwise think that it was a bit daunting for them to use. So thank you so much for that. Oh, next we've got this really cool thing from Hodja, who says, just sharing a link to RocketArb Watch, a basic page I slapped together so we can watch the ARB, ROFL, Rocket Pool's version of Watch the Burn. Special thanks to Reminder.eth for the awesome work on the ARB. And then there's a link. It says, obviously work in progress. We'll open source it on GitHub when I get the time later. Any suggestions, I'll put it in the backlog and add them if I'm capable. So let's have a look at the page. It says there's current market stats, which has information about RETH and the markets rate and the protocol rate. So the difference of nearly 3%. And the premium is 2.761%. USD price, potential net profit that you'd get if you spun up the ARB right now, which is 0.433 ETH, which is absolutely amazing. Potential net profit in US dollars, $550. So by running the RocketArb, you can get $550, which is truly amazing. And it said fattest ARB was 4.3, so you'd actually get a higher ARB than that right now. And then the most ARB profits was this address here, who spun up lots of mini pools. Using it was 14.8 ETH they got back. So if you have a look at the graph of the ARB values, these first few were yielding very small ARB values, but then the premium, as it got big, I think these were just the initial tests that were run, and then as the premium got bigger, there's 0.3. The lowest one was here is 0.188 ETH. And then you can see that there's been whole clusters of ARB taking place, but there's been a few of them are above 0.4. So the biggest one here was 0.43, which is absolutely amazing. One that happened today was 0.42 ETH. So these are really great ARB opportunities, and it's got a database of every ARB that's taken place so far. One tip that I have for Hodja is to add a counter that says how many people have used it. I think that would be really nice for people to see really quickly. But this is a fantastic website. It's a really great job that they've done, and I'm sure that we'll be checking in on it quite frequently. So that's awesome. Yeah, and it says total node operator ARB profits 55 ETH pretty much, which is really, really wonderful to see that we have put that ETH back into the hands of node operators instead of into the hands of MEV bots. So thank you so much. So yesterday as I was recording Rocket Fuel yesterday morning, there were a lot of discussions happening in the community about kind of like doing self-governance and self-moderation and kind of pushing forward certain community values. So Phiz and I talked about this quite a lot in the Launchpad episode that we did yesterday, because I guess the conversation was really fresh in our minds, and it was something that Phiz is really passionate about. And Bosi here mentions, the first rule of the Rocket Pool Discord is be excellent to each other. And I think it might have been a while since people read these rules, but the first rule is be excellent to each other. Sadly, it seems like at times that isn't like quite lived up to. So there were a lot of thoughts going on about this caution emoji that's right here, and people were using it in a joking way, but it says Dybsy saying, my initial thought too is that the rules are all the guidelines the community needs, not social policing. I wish I could emoji react to emojis. And then we had other people, like Owl was talking about it, and Patches made a point about how we should people need to hold each other to a better standard. Just because that rule is there doesn't mean it gets enforced as often as it should. And, this is just ways of kind of trying to enforce that. So I can't find that comment, but it was there somewhere. So yeah, thank you for everyone who's taking part in that discussion. Like, I think this is a discussion that's going to take place over the next few days, weeks and months, maybe even. And it's something that, we as a community kind of need to decide that this is something we want to do. And if we decide that this is something we want to do, I think we can have really productive discussions about it. However, if the community decides that this is something that we don't want to do, then that's fine too. However, the chances of the experience being alienating for people later on grows as time goes on. So it depends on what values we want to hold on to, and how we decide that as a community. So yeah, I think if you want to listen to my thoughts and Phiz's thoughts, especially about this topic, the Launchpad episode that I was referencing earlier goes into quite a lot of detail about Phiz's ideas about what a community should look like and what are some of the things that make a successful community online. So that was a really great resource that you can check out. Next, Ken has been, I wanted to give a shout out to Ken because Ken's been doing some really awesome work about EthDenver and what it's going to look like, and sharing that information with the Rocket Pool community. And I think he's by far the most enthusiastic person about EthDenver as a whole. I know Ken, you watch every day, and I'm really sorry about this, but it looks like I might not be able to come again. Sorry. Anyway, Ken here was sharing information saying EthDenver show notes, opt in or opt out, that's entirely up to you. This is not being on the cost to attend. So the cost is, if you join the co-op, then the cost is free. However, if you decide not to join that, then that's the Spork DAO, right? If you decide not to join that, then you have to pay $600. And he says, as a community member, it currently leaves do you build or give back more than absolutely zero to the community? If so, you're a solid Spork DAO member. If not, buy a ticket. You don't have to share your information if you don't want to. And then there's TLDR is possibly for it to be free for everyone. And there's some links here. There's even a promo video that you can watch that has information about applying. At the moment, it looks like I'm not going, but I might apply for a ticket. And if I get a ticket, then I might decide on whether I should go or not, or maybe pass along my ticket to someone else, as in just forfeit it. So I'd rather have the option to go and then not go, rather than decide not to go and then later change my mind and then it being too late. So yeah. There's this really cool thing out the community that's happened over the last couple of days about Dybsy, who has he applied for a legal job at Flashbots. They're the ones who make the Flashbots relay and MEV boost, and Dybsy applied for a job for it last week, and he got an email asking for about availability for an interview. So Dybsy asked a lot of questions about MEV boost and Flashbots and OFAC and Suave, which is the new system that Flashbots it's coming up with. And he was asking a lot of questions about that in trading, people helping him try to understand and fill in the gaps of his knowledge. And his interview's on Friday, so it'll be really awesome if someone from the community, if everyone in the community could pass along their best wishes, because it would be really great if someone from the Rocket Pool community had like such a cool job. So good luck, Dybsy. So overnight we had Sassal coming to the Discord and was talking about a bunch of things. So for those of you who don't know, Anthony Sassano is the host of the Daily Gway, and I've been really open about talking about how Rocket Fuel is so inspired by and influenced by the Daily Gway, and I watch the Daily Gway every day. So Sassal was in here talking about Ethereum and the kind of discussions that are taking place. So it started off by people talking about Bitcoin. And so Al had this tweet before saying, shared a tweet from Sassano saying, I've never been more bearish on Bitcoin against Ethereum. And then he gave reasons why it's inferior to Ethereum on every front: broken social layer, unsustainable security model, facing extreme headwinds with regards to proof of work, no real DeFi integration, Lightning Network is a complete failure, and Bitcoin failed as an inflation hedge. And yeah, so then Owl says, give me all the engagement. Guess we're not trolling Weth anymore. So Sassal came in and he said, that tweet was not engagement farming. I believe all of those things. I felt it was worth signaling it to Twitter and getting opposing views from the crowd. No one has been able to change my mind on those topics in years, and I'm looking for someone that can, by using reason and logic, not tribal BT maxi nonsense delusion. So I think that brought up a really cool conversation where, the Weth FUD joke that was going around Twitter over the weekend. Sassal says, the Weth stuff was a big mistake for me because, to be honest, and I own that completely, at times I forget how big my audience reach is. And yeah, he was around for a long discussion, right? And then Valdorf shared this Google trends of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Bitcoin kind of leading Ethereum. And he says, this is my one and only pro Bitcoin argument, is that, when people think of crypto, the first thing they think of is Bitcoin, and that hasn't changed yet, and we haven't flipped that yet. And I don't want to read through the whole conversation for you all. It was really interesting conversation, and it was kind of sprawling and went in a few different directions, but it was a really good conversation, I think, and a lot of people were engaged with that conversation. And check out the link in the description, and you can go through it and read it yourself and see if you agree or disagree with what they were talking about. Okay, so next we had this really cool thing that happened yesterday. So a few weeks ago, Zero was kind of disappointed with the Rocket Pool price action and kind of fear around the LEB max collateral vote. So he sold his RPL, and then yesterday he bought back in, and that was really, really cool to see. But it's not just that Zero bought back in. It's for these last few days, there's been a whole lot of buying happening, and the ratio is actually done really well. I know I don't talk about price that often on this channel, but there was a couple of people who were doing time buys, which was A29A and F411, and they were buying big chunks of RPL every little while, and that was really cool to see. They really pushed the ratio up, and then that kind of culminated in Zero doing his buy for nearly 100 ETH, and that was awesome to see, right? That he's bought back in, and I think the ratio's been doing really well since we bottomed a couple of weeks ago. We bottomed at 0.0116, and now we're at almost back at 0.015. So Rocket Pool's shown a lot of strength during this downturn, for the crypto market, and it's bounced back really well from that. So right now it's only around 25% down from all-time high, which on the ratio against ETH, and I think that's absolutely amazing to see. So yeah, it's down around 60-70% compared to US dollar all-time high, but even that is comparable or much better than big projects out there. So it's really awesome. So I mentioned earlier that Patches had the tweet thread, and what happened is he made a comment saying the intern is fast. And the Rocket Pool intern, for those of you who are not on Twitter, is an account where we don't know who runs that account, and they're really good at boosting Rocket Pool content, retweeting, liking, engaging in content around Rocket Pool and other things related to it, and just doing an awesome job, really, really great job on Twitter, kind of boosting Rocket Pool. So Patches is the intern is fast. So then Phil Kerr said, who is he? Butter said someone with a small D, or her could be. And then Hodja said, isn't Mav the intern? And people like, no one knows. And it's still a mystery. And people were kind of like talking about who the intern is, who the intern might be, whether or not they even, and Nosho said there's actually no intern. And I said Lido plant. So no one actually knows who the intern is. And I don't know if they post on Discord or not with a different handle, but it's really, really great to see that, the interns doing all this great work on Twitter. And Nosho says I've narrowed it down to Mav, Dave, or Vitalik. So Mav was like cheering, but like the fact of the matter is, like, and Butter was saying I am the intern, but nobody really knows who the intern is. But I just want to use this opportunity, because the trading channel were talking about the intern quite a lot yesterday, to give a shout out to the intern for doing really awesome work, and how everyone who even like remotely posts on Rocket Pool Twitter kind of like knows about the intern is really cool. So finally, the intern is starting an Instagram channel called Rocket Pool Memes, and it says the Rocket Pool intern stolen memes, and they stole their logo, put a butter frog on there. So I'm really excited to see that, because the memes channel is really awesome. I check it every day, and just today, friendship ended with shitcoins. Now treasury bond is my best friend, which is, and people just share their memes like here. It's really cool, like pentagon, hexagon, octagon, my money gone, and there's Sam Bankman freed. And this is a classic image in the memes, Sassal getting blinded by the Rocket Pool website because it was so orange. And it's a nice thread where like there's lots of memes. So Hodja posted this like node operator sick gains Rocket Pool, like we're doing the predator, like think I don't know how to describe it, but there's just it's a really cool place. So I'm really excited about seeing some of these on Instagram and getting those Rocket Pool memes out there, so that I'm going to end the episode on that today. So I hope you all have enjoyed the episode. Please go watch the Launchpad episode with Phiz, because I think it's really, really great for our community to watch that, because there's ideas in there that people really I think respond well to, and will give them fuel for thought. But on that note, I'm going to end it, and I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. So bye.